Hey guys, Candy here, welcome back to our life. Let's keep going. Yes. Now. Oh wait, I'll never get tired of that view. You stood beside your moms and Lizzie, and the four of you watched the sun dip into the ocean somewhere far, far away. You like to imagine it's cooling off in the water, resting itself before getting ready to shine brightly again tomorrow. It was a fun day. I don't know. I didn't know they had magicians on the shopping street now. Neither did I. Oh no. We're all so dull. Let's go out more. You didn't do real magic, Mom. How did you figure that one out? Because I know. That's not what real magic looks like. Oh, Lizzie dear, there's all kinds of magic in this world. Lizzie gave Mommy a suspicious look, but didn't dispute the claim. Well, we can't sit out here all night. Time to hurry home and get cooking. Who's helping with dinner? Lizzie immediately let out a groan. Mom, summer's almost over. The protest was obvious. You could practically see school on the horizon. You certainly didn't want your summer, or you didn't want to spend your last bits of freedom cooking dinner. You could do that another day. Please, can we play a little longer? You want to keep playing before it's too late. It is almost over. You put on your best puppy dog eyes. I'll go with this one. Mom looked down at you with a sigh, and you clasped your hands together to give a plea for some extra appeal. We'll help cook tomorrow. You immediately nodded in agreement, with the clever offer shifting closer to Lizzie since your parents couldn't possibly resist the power of you two combined. Soon we'll have homework and reading to do. Can't do work now, too. Lizzie made her case, and then stomped her foot into the ground. You mimicked her, feeling that would add something to the argument. Well... No. Oh well. Oh come on, Pam. I can help you with dinner. Mommy leaned in for a hug, and you knew that you were close to victory.
Okay.
Alright. But as soon as dinner's ready, you lot are coming inside, understood? Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom. So much to do, so little time. Oh, maybe we could still get the seashell bracelet at Tines and Trinkets. Ooh, or maybe the playground or the fireflies would probably be coming out, right? Ooh. I don't get to say in this. You silently made your own plans. Can't go too far. I'm going home. Lizzie looked over at you, narrowing her brows like she was very seriously contemplating the answer to the question. A strong gust of wind made you shiver. Lizzie huffed as she wrapped her arms around herself.
Rude.
Doesn't the wind know summer's not over yet? That's all Lizzie said before abruptly turning on her heel and heading off in the direction of your mother's had gone. Where are you going? I'm going to my room. I have lots to plan. If I want to make the most out of tomorrow. You thought it over, looking off towards the water again. Lizzie didn't wait, and before long she was disappearing off down the road. I must stay outside. Watch Lizzie run off, twisting your lips as you considered what to do. In the end, the pretty sky and soothing sound of the waves won out. You strayed off the path, grinning at the feel of the sand quickly filling in the empty space in your flip-flops. That was fun for a while, but you grew bored eventually. How else could you enjoy the remainder of your time at the beach? Look for seashells. That's what I do at the beach usually. You walked to the shoreline, peering at any debris that washed up. Most of it was just seaweed, rocks, and trash, though now and then you'd spot seashells. You picked up the one that stood out to you until you had a nice little collection. It was a great evening, but soon enough you had you fill and were ready to join the rest of your family back home. Not too much farther down, you spotted a familiar green head of hair moseying along the shore. Curious, you strayed off the path and walked over to him. Cove knelt down, picking up something you quickly identified as a smooth rock. He reared his arm back, then tossing it into the water. You were impressed at how far he got it to go. It sailed out into the sea. It was a good toss. That was pretty neat. I'm gonna be nice, so I'm gonna go with that. I'm looking at my own. Deciding to join Cove, you searched nearby for any rocks or shells you could throw too. Cove jumped a little when he noticed you, and you gave a shrug and a smile, realizing you'd sort of forgotten to announce yourself. Yeah, you found a shell that would suit your purpose. A smile growing as you tossed it as hard as you could. It landed with a wet thunk a few feet away, slipped under the water. When he looked over at Cove, he didn't seem to notice that his throw had been more impressive. Cove looked down at his chest, scratching idly at the pink surface, even though you were pretty sure he couldn't feel it. His eyes furrowed, and there was a frown on his face.
It's not fair.
It's not fair. I've had to wear this cast for ages. I can't even swim. I'm kind of curious. I was jet skiing. You beamed at him. You'd never gone jet skiing, but you'd seen others do it all the time from the shore. It looked impressive. I've never been jet skiing either. I'm kind of scared too, though. Cove looked a little taken back by her outburst, but after a second, he gave a small nod. Then he continued to explain. I crashed. He gestured to his arm, as if to say, and this was the result. It's hard to believe you're allowed to jet ski.
Whoa.
Well, I'm not. Oh. Cove let out a... Sorry. I was wondering, like, when I was thinking about that, I thought, like, it meant, like, he was on the back of the jet ski with his dad. I didn't think he was actually driving the jet ski. Cove let out a huff, plopping down into the sand. Can't believe summer's almost over. He sat down next to him, nodding in agreement, regardless of the sudden topic change. I don't want to go to school. I mean, I would. I don't want to go to a new school. I still think it's the same. I think it'll be the same school as you and Lizzie. My dad said something about that. So why don't you want to go? It's nice as far as schools go. You'd only ever been to one school, but you were sure that his old school couldn't have been much better. Then again, you did have to make new friends, meet new teachers. It could be kind of scary. Cove shook his head and wrapped his good arm around his knees as he drew them to his chest. You heard a sniffling sound. When you took a look at his face, you realized his eyes were wet.
I want to go home.
I want to go home. You weren't sure what to do. It felt weird just to leave him here crying. But what could you do? What could you say to help? You frowned a little, starting to stand. Okay then. Okay, well wait, what? That's mean. Just gonna leave him there crying? Really? Cove gave his head a small shake. No, I want to go back home. Right. Cove wanted to go back to his old home. Oh, okay. I misinterpreted that. I thought she was saying, oh, okay, bye. She's gonna ditch him. I didn't mean... when it was reality, it's like, oh, okay, bye. Thinking that he was gonna go back to his house. Oops, I accidentally clicked. It had been a while since he had moved in, but he didn't seem to feel any better about being here. He settled back down into the sand, trying to consider what to do. Cove's brows furrowed even more. Then he shook his head. You're not trying to leave, right? You'll still be around? The question was a little surprising. Your parents would have mentioned if you were going to move or something, right? For a second, Cove gave a little nod. Once I get my cast off, we can go swimming. You were fine with him changing the subject again? Yeah, that would be fun. Cove smiled, then looked back at the waves. My dad keeps saying I'll get used to everything eventually, and that I'd feel better then. It used to make me angry. I didn't want to get used to everything. I didn't want to get used to everything. He spared a glance over at Cove, and saw the anger had slipped off of his face in favor of something almost puzzled. But maybe that would be okay after all, as long as I really do feel better. I can't see it. The two of you sat quietly, just taking in the sounds of the waves. Lost in thought, you stared a bit when you heard a faint, familiar sound. The sound of your mom shouting your name. You looked over your shoulder, realizing it was probably time for dinner. Had you guys really been sitting out here that long? You stood up and dusted the sand off yourself. My mom's calling. It's time for dinner. You should come. Cove looked up at you, expression screaming reluctance, yet ultimately, okay. When you smiled, Cove returned with one of his own. But the two of you couldn't stay there in your own little world any longer. You were being called forward. So both of you ran towards the house, leaving the waves and the summer behind. In between. Okay, what's this about? Let's keep going. Alright. Yes, okay. Uh-oh. It's crashing, no! Oh boy. Okay, there we go. Ooh. I'm gonna do this off camera. Alright. August ended. September began. It was time to go back to school. Lizzie groaned and complained the entire first week. She hated going to class. Still, there were interesting things to do that couldn't be done anywhere else. You weren't sure how Cove felt about it. He was enrolled that year. That was like a sign Cove would be staying in Sunset Bird for a while. At school, he was alright, but kept his distance from the other kids. From what you saw, anyway. Originally, he treated you like everyone else, passing by as if you didn't know each other. But as the year went on, the two of you acknowledged each other more and more. A friendship had started to grow. That year, the divorce of Cove's parents was finalized. You overheard your parents talking about it, saying Cove's dad got full custody. At first you were worried that meant bad news. It made Mr. Holden cry, apparently. Then you found out it meant Cove would keep living with his dad. He would only stay with his mom a few weeks of the year. Cove cried too, for different reasons, he thought. It seemed like Cove and his dad might move again, but Mr. Holden decided to stay after all. Mom asked him about it once. He had said he didn't want to uproot Cove's life a second time. Mr. Holden tried to get Cove to like Sunset Bird more. He kept encouraging his son to go out and see the place. Sometimes Mr. Holden volunteered you to spend time with Cove. You weren't sure how well it worked in changing Cove's thoughts of the town, yet it might have been part of the reason you and Cove ended up growing closer. Cove never talked about anyone. Oh, never talked to anyone about what happened with his parents and withdrew whenever it was brought up. It was hard for him, yet nobody knew how to help. Eventually, Cove stopped crying on his own. You couldn't understand what had changed. You still worried about him. You could tell he wasn't completely happy. Maybe one day he could say out loud what he felt inside. After that, it felt like things had gone back to normal, except what was normal didn't stay the same. Years passed. Suddenly, you were in middle school. You weren't a kid anymore. You were 13 years old. That officially made you a teen, even if your sister didn't agree. The toys and crayons that used to litter your room, litter every free space in your room, have been packed away somewhere, replaced by new hobbies. There were other changes too. Cove's cast got taken off. It was weird to see him without initially. Underneath the pink plaster ended up being a long, thin scar that snaked around his forearm. Cove's chest puffed out in pride when someone drew attention to it. He also went through a major growth spurt. He was the tallest student in his class for 2 years in a row. Cove will probably hold that spot again next time. The class people knew him for more than just being tall. He also stood out because of how well he did on tests and other academic situations. Over the years, he still remained familiar in a lot of ways. He talked to people when they came to him, but never really searched out for company of his own. And the only kid that came to visit the neighborhood when you were little, Shiloh, well, he was gone. Aw. He and his mom moved back south because of her work, just 1 year after Cove came to Sunset Bird. Aw, man. I liked Shiloh. Oops. Crud. What did I do? Oh, okay, I fixed it. It had really been upsetting when he left. Lizzie was inconsolable for weeks, but nobody talked about Shiloh anymore. It was a long time ago. Uh-oh. I think it crashed. Oh no! It's crashing. Oh boy. You learned some heartbreaking things. Became less sad the further they were. Even if they had never gotten better. That was sad in its own way. Things at home were different too. You lived in the same house and all, but they can't read that, or the thing's blocking it. But it wasn't how it was before. Ma dyed her hair purple, wanting something new, and liked it so much she kept dyeing it. I remember calling her Mommy as a kid, but something like that seemed awkward nowadays. You were much too old for that word. Lizzie felt too mature for her nickname too. She insisted everyone calling her Elizabeth, so you did. Your mom soon gave her permission to go places other than the playground and shopping street, which she took advantage of. You really saw her around the old neighborhood. In fact, she hardly spent time with you the way she did before. Elizabeth instead associated more with the girls from school who were her own age. Maybe the difference between 13 and 15 was greater than the difference between 8 and 10. You started befriending new people yourself. Derek Suarez, he didn't live in the neighborhood or go to the same school. What happened was his and Cove's dad struck up a business partnership a few months ago. Since then, Derek would pop up in the area now and then. It seemed Mr. Suarez was happy to let Derek tag along to his work if Derek had time for it. Without a doubt, everyone and everything around you had changed. In small and big ways, you had too. As time went by, though it was easy to settle into the new normal, then before you knew it, school was over, summer vacation had come again. That looks cool. I like that room too. It was the first day of summer vacation. The sun was hot as ever, but you were inside, away from the harsh rays. To be more specific, you were. Snuggled up and said, I'm gonna go with that because that sounds about right for me. It was hot, but you still had a blanket on top of you over your head blocking out the sun. You didn't want it intruding on your lazy morning. Unfortunately, you hadn't prepared for an intrusion. From beneath the blanket, you heard the door creak open. You're still sleeping? Wow, get up. I could tell her to go away, pretend to still be asleep. You got up. You started. I'm gonna go with this one. You didn't get out of bed. Instead, you made some obnoxiously loud and totally phony sleeping sounds. It was pretty annoying, but she had bothered you first. Not funny. Get up now, or I will come over there. So much for a lazy morning. Mom told me to tell you that your friend's at the door. You brought some happy summer gift from Mr. Holden. Mom wants you to take it from him. Say thanks or whatever. So come down already. I'll go with this. Elizabeth said nothing else and left, having done what was instructed of her. You rolled out of bed, stretching your arms as hard as up high and yawning. Time to get ready. You set yourself up in front of the mirror in the far corner of your room. Your reflection hardly fit. Your reflection hardly fit in you've gotten tall. The reflection went. Okay. I'm gonna go with this one because I mean, I was a beanbowl as a kid. I was always the tallest kid in class. But around this age, I started to even out. Everybody started getting taller than me. But I'm not short. I'm 5'6½". I just feel short because I live in a house full of giants. Because Belle is 5'10". Both my brothers are over 6 foot tall. Like, I think one of them's like 6'4", and the other one's like 6'2". My older brother's like 6'2", and then the younger one's 6'4", and my dad is 6 feet tall, and then my mom is like an inch or two taller than I am. Cove was really tall. Derek was kind of short. You were pretty much the exact same height as someone you'd expect for a 13-year-old. I like my height. It suited you well, in your mind. Then you put the finishing touches on your outfit. Ruminating? I never heard that word. On the situation. Careless as they had been, Elizabeth's words piqued your curiosity. You planned on going over to see what Cove was up to. So this worked in your favor. Your reflection grinned back at you. You were looking forward to seeing him. You left your room, going down the stairs 2 steps at a time. Second chance. You spotted Mom first, reclining on the couch. She held a magazine in her hands, which she was perusing through. Morning, Mom. She looked up at you, greeting a smile instantly appeared on her face.
Thanks.
Oh, there it is. Morning, Candy. Thank you for coming down. Ma's at the door with Cove. Can't stay over today, unfortunately. Why don't you go and thank him before he leaves? Yeah, okay. You nodded and made your way to the front of the house. Just as she said, Ma was there making conversation. She must have heard you because she looked over her shoulder.
Oh.
That's a pretty color. When they said purple, I thought they'd been like bright, like neon purple, but that's actually a pretty color. And now I'm thinking about it, maybe like next time if I ever dye my hair again, because last time I dyed it was pink, and then now we dyed it back to brown, but it's not the same color brown as it was before. It's actually slightly darker. Maybe next time I'll get like that color, because that actually looks really cool. I like that. Ma, who finally... Oh. Look who finally made it. Morning, sleepyhead. Ma reached forward. You knew she was about to pat you on the head. She was taller than average, so you're a little in her eyes, despite being typical size for your own age. I'm just gonna let her do it. You stood patiently and indulged your ma's wishes. She gave you 2 small taps on the crown of your head. Ah, you're the last one down today, you know that? Life isn't a race, Morning. It's going to stay longer, so you're welcome. I like that one. Yes, thank you for gracing us all with your presence this fine day. With a small laugh, Mom stepped aside. Cove was just as you remembered, exactly how you came to know him to be. He leaned uncomfortably to the side of your doorway as his bushy hair covered part of his face. His features were pinched in embarrassment as he shifted from one foot to the other. He was holding what must be the much talked about gift. At first glance, you figured it was a bouquet of flowers, but then you gave it a real look and said it was carefully cut fruit. Ooh, okay, that's cool. Got an edible arrangement. It made a lot of sense that it was actually from Cove's dad. You had to suppress a laugh at this showing. You couldn't imagine many folks buying this sort of thing for their own personal enjoyment. To each their own, I guess. That kind of arrangement was built for the presentation, likely to impress whoever was inevitably going to receive it. It seemed no matter how long he lived here, Mr. Holden would keep going out of his way to be neighborly, and Cove would always be roped into participating. Yep. Cove smiled lightly at the sight of you. The sting of his goofy errand. He was clearly embarrassed to be uneased. Hey, Candy. You gave a grin back. It wasn't weird at all. Like it used to be when you were kids. As time passed, the two of you started to enjoy each other's company. Now you actually considered him a good friend, and not someone you were forced to be around by your families. Hey, nice to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you too. You were certain he meant that agreement. It was already shaping up to be a long summer, with plenty of time for the two of you to have fun together. His awkwardness over the task started to creep back into Cove's, so Cove nudged the gift closer to you. He was already to be relieved of it, and with that the gift was accepted. The thing was definitely Dad's idea. I wouldn't have gone for something else. I would have gone for something else. But if you can't eat all that, I wouldn't mind taking a couple skewers. He smiled, looking amusedly at the gift, then back at you. You called that one. To your dad for buying it, and for you bringing it over. It looks yummy. I'll tell him we said that. Mr. Holden's behavior was really different from any neighbor you'd ever had. Though after 5 years... 5 years? I thought it was only... I guess... No, she was 10 and I was 8, so that is 5 years. Okay. You were used to his antics, and you'd since made your mind on what your opinion was. I mean, he does seem pretty weird. I'm gonna go with this though. Sometimes it could be a good thing, other times it was a bad thing. Your thoughts were quickly interrupted by a shout. Are you in there? You shared a confused look with Cove as both of you stepped through the open door onto the neighborhood street. It didn't take long to locate the source of the noise. You spotted Derek just a few yards down the road. He ran up to you. I'm gonna go confused. You hadn't expected to see Derek today, though you never really knew when he'd appear. After stopping a couple steps away, Derek hunched over to catch his breath. He looked up at you with a grin.
Hey.
Debating on whether or not to give him an accent. If I were to do it, I'd probably make him sound like my tío. Hey guys and gal. I was just at your house, Cove, but no one was there. I should have figured you'd be at Candy's place. Do you ever spend time in your own home? Or are you always there? Derek laughed at his own joke. He either didn't notice that it embarrassed Cove, or the embarrassment was what he actually was laughing at. Derek turned to you. He was going to say more, and his eyes widened and he gasped. What's that? You followed his gaze, unsure. Then you realized what he meant. You're still holding Mr. Holden's gift. This? It's kind of a bouquet of flowers, but instead it's made out of fruit.
Nice.
Nice. Can I have some? I'm gonna share. Derek grew more excited by your words, bouncing like a ball on his feet. Awesome. He nodded his head as if to clear it. Anyway, that's right. I came here because I needed to say something big. He paused, possibly for effect. There's some other kid here in Sunset Bird. Cove was as surprised as you were by the news. Such a reaction made sense. No one around your age moved here since Cove did 5 years ago. Were they with their family? Maybe they were just cutting through. Nuh-uh. The new kid was all by himself just walking. Did you talk to him?
Nope.
Nope. I came to report the sighting right away. This accent is terrible. I'm trying. It's hard to do an accent when I'm actually reading instead of just like, trying to make it sound like my tío. Trying to imitate him. Like any of my tíos. Mostly, I'm not gonna say his actual name. The one tío I used to hang out with a lot. Because, well, not me personally. My dad would hang out with him and I'd end up hanging out with my cousins over there. The kid had green hair, glasses, and was pretty small. He seemed really upset about something. I hope he didn't leave. You blinked slowly. You looked over to your long-time neighbor. Sounds a lot like you, Cove. When you first got here, anyway. Yeah, I guess that was me back then. Derek snickered good-naturedly. I can see really well. Now you say so. What do you say? Let's go find Cove's lookalike. We should all meet him. I'll do it. Sure. I want to see who this new person is. Derek grinned. He pointed down the street the way he came. Last I saw him, the mystery visitor was going this direction. Nothing else needed to be said. The three of you were off with Derek leading the way. Derek brought you to the beach. As a trio, you made your way down the shore to the old playground. You walked the familiar path in a comfortable silence. When you were almost there, you spotted the kid in question. His bright hair colors almost shone like a beacon beneath the rays of the sun. He scuffled around, kicking up sand as he paced. It was true. He certainly seemed upset. You didn't think he was sad, like you had originally pictured. No, his erratic movements and scrunched up expression came off angry. You were curious about him, and what he was in a bad mood about. Derek must have felt him the same as you. He waved wildly, calling out to the boy. Hey guy, over here! This kid, he looks like a dork. I'm sorry, but I can't take it seriously. It sounds mean. I sound mean, I'm sorry. Kid whipped around. He looks like Mandark. He looks like freaking Mandark, but with green hair. The kid whipped around, an impressive scowl carving deep into onto his face. His eyes were tired, but a strong hostile energy radiated from him. What? What is it? What do you want? His sharp tone made Derek flinch. He shifted on his feet. What's your name? Jeremy. What is it? Was that it? No, I'm Derek. And that's Candy and Cove. We were just here walking around and saw you. Wanted to say hi. Aren't you? There aren't a lot of kids around our age in the neighborhood. Yeah, so you know, it's cool to see someone else here. Strangely, Jeremy grew furious by your response. If steam could erupt from a person's ears, it would have happened then. They did bring me somewhere stupid. Of course, I knew it. What?
My parents.
My parents. They're the ones who brought me. I didn't want to walk in this town. Can you not figure that out on your own? I am the supreme ruler of darkness. I am Mandark. Wahaha! Ha 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 ha! Right. My dad brings me to Sunset Bird too. When he had to come for work and all that stuff, he's not bad. The eager glare that earned him a glare. From Jeremy. Derek winced beneath it, glancing away. It was a struggle to remain friendly with this Jeremy guy. I mean, I wouldn't want to come here for a real vacation, probably either. That's an understatement. This doesn't count as a vacation. It's a waste of time, a chore. My parents' family is nearby, and we just had to come and see them. Ugh. If they're your parents' family, doesn't that make them your family too? I guess. That's a pretty good reason to come by. Did you want to go somewhere else? No. Jeremy crossed his arms with a huff, and he turned away. They should have gone by themselves, since they care so much, and left me home. But I'm not allowed to be by myself. It makes no sense. They're the ones who don't know how to do anything, and I'm the kid. You kept quiet. Shouldn't talk about your parents like that. Sorry, it must suck being forced to do something you don't want. We just said hello. You don't have to keep complaining at us. Calm down. You don't have to yell so much. Who peed in your cereal this morning? Jeremy's lips curled, his face as his face contorted from anger to horror.
That's disgusting.
Why would you think something? Why would you think something like that? It's disgusting.
Sheesh.
It's an expression. You took a deep breath. You thought for one hopeful second that maybe he was calming himself down. He was not. So what? You're putting it into people's heads. I don't want... Dude, calm down. I don't want to think about it. And someone brainless might decide to... It's a good... Who would actually... Okay, that was my phone, sorry. I got the giggles now. It's not gonna work. Okay. Okay, calm down. And someone brainless might decide to... Oh crap, I accidentally hit the button. There's some real stupid there are some real stupids out in the world, you know? You're all living proof of that. Seriously. Hey. We're not stupid. I'm smarter than you are. Shut up. Stop it. I'm gonna go shut up. You first. You turn to Cove, lowering your voice. The two of you aren't that similar after all. Jeremy must have had good hearing, though, because he caught the private exchange and scoffed.
Stupid.
Of course not. We're not similar. My eyebrow... Oh. I mean, he has a point. My eyebrows aren't stupid. Cove's cheeks flushed crimson at that insult. You couldn't be sure if it was embarrassment or anger or both. Come on. How can you say that when you've got a bowl cut? I want to say that one, but I'm gonna go with this. Cove smiled weakly.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry your eyebrows are so... Dude! I'm just gonna roll my eyes. His behavior was unbelievably childish. You bet this is what Elizabeth imagines she's dealing with whenever you do anything. But with Jeremy, he really is like a kid. Wow. What's wrong with you? Instead of taking offense, Jeremy parroted Derek's words in a nasally voice.
Wow, what is wrong with you?
Wow, what's wrong with you? Wow, wow. This is dumb. Jeremy stuck his tongue out and sulked away, throwing more sand everywhere as he went. You were watching him go, hunched over until he became a speck in your vision. Silence reigned in his wake. The three of you tried to process what had just happened. I can't believe what a mean kid. Derek wasn't kidding. By the sound of those earlier complaints, new boy Jeremy was going to be in the area at least a little while this summer. Derek sighed in dismay, plopping onto the ground. You and Cove followed. You followed Cove and did too shortly. There was nothing much else to do. This sucks. I was hoping we meet someone fun to hang out maybe. He shook his head. After a moment, he slowly turned to you with a hopeful expression. Well, you know, what would really be impressive? Would it really improve the day? What? He didn't respond. Instead, he used his hand pointing right at the fruit arrangement you were still holding. I'm still holding that thing? You completely forgotten about it during the mini drama that unfolded. You had gotten used to the wait. Glancing over to Cove, you noticed he was eyeing the fruit. He must want some too. Why not? Let's eat. Derek perked up immediately at your words. He reached out for a skewer, hesitating slightly once he was inches away.
Are you sure?
Are you sure? You nodded with an eager grin. He plucked out a prime row of fruit. Cove grabbed one for himself after him. Only you were without a skewer of your own. I'm gonna go with strawberries. The strawberry was bright and red, beckoning you. It was obvious. It was the obvious first choice. Derek took a pineapple skewer enthusiastically, finishing it within moments. This is amazing. It's not different from any other normal fruits. It's kind of worse. These have been out in the open with their skin off for a while. Sheesh. Hey, you don't remember The Land Before Time? The fruit. Oh, I haven't seen that movie in ages. Oh, I need to rewatch that. Oh, but the Littlefoot Mom. Oh man, that tore me up as a kid. Oh, I haven't seen that movie since then. Like I have 3 movies that I can say made me legit cry as a child, and they all have the same thing in common. We have Littlefoot's mom dying, Big Land Before Time, Nestor, Long-Eared Donkey, that movie, that Christmas movie, it was like a Rankin Bass film. Same thing, his mom dies. And then Bambi, oh. It's always the mom that freaking dies. It's always such a tragedy. It always makes me freaking cry. Anyways, the fruit thing makes me think of it. The dinosaurs all liked leaves, and that were star-shaped. Tree stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, jumping leaves looked so delicious when they did that. And there's a scene with the pretty trees. The dinosaurs came and picked everything off them. Then there was nothing. That's us right now. Awesome. Do you think things taste better when they're shaped like stars? I'm gonna go with this one because, yeah, I haven't seen that movie in forever. He snickered. Not everything, but it probably helps. 3 of us continued like this for the next few minutes. Eventually, the display was barren. It looked weird when it was devoid of fruits. Note that. Derek was right. It was so good. You're already brightening up from the earlier drama. Hey, Candy. Yeah. The two of you met eyes casually. It was pretty cool what he said back to that guy. Oh, thanks. I was just saying what I thought. Derek chimed in with the while the spirit with Derek chimed in while in high spirits. Yet you totally own them. You don't know what it. I don't know what his parents say, but it's good. At least someone around here around to tell him what's what. Yeah. Derek then leaned back on his arms. He contemplated the sky with a content sigh. So, are you both ready for summer break? Not sure. I get it. It feels like there's a lot to plan for, doesn't it? And what about you, Cove? Are you ready? Yeah. Yes. Before he could say anything else, the light atmosphere was shattered. Hey, Candy! Glanced over your shoulder to see your sister. She strode closer and closer, appearing none too pleased. I've been looking all over for you. Ma said you and Cove ran off with the thing Mr. Holden brought us. She's leered over with her arms folded. So, where is it? You're late. It's all gone. What do you mean, gone? Moved over to the side to face her completely. She zeroed in on the bouquet in your arms, which was now populated exclusively with skewers dripping in juice and tiny flecks of leftover fruit pieces. Her mouth dropped open. The tone of her voice rose.
What?
Seriously, Candy? What were you thinking? It was supposed to be for all of us at home. She glanced at Cove, who sat beside you, continued mockingly. Even if you did have an in with the delivery boy, even if you did have it in with the delivery boy, this was up to Mr. Holden. Cove gave you a bent smile of support, which didn't help disprove her accusation. We were hungry. Elizabeth narrowed her eyes. Not at all okay with that kind of response. Oh no. I think I hear the mean kid coming back. We better get out of here. Elizabeth blinked, confused, and looked around.
What?
What kid? I don't see anyone. Derek didn't bother explaining. He just launched to his feet and ran off. Cove hopped up too, gladly taking the opportunity to exit the situation. He followed after Derek, but he sent a look to you from over his shoulder. You turned to watch Elizabeth as she stared back, brows raised. I'm gonna run. Without a word, you two got up to your feet and bolted down the beach. Unimpressed, Elizabeth rolled her eyes.
So immature.
You're so mature. She shook her head as she walked towards the house, not bothering whatsoever to follow. Meanwhile, the three of you made your way back to the shoreline. Derek pumped his fist, grinning in triumph. We escaped and shall live to see another day. Yeah, for now at least. Victory! Victory! You threw your arms up in the air in celebration. You chuckled together. walking further down the beach side by side. You definitely wanted to stay outside a little while longer. You had gotten a bit of a scolding from your moms for not saving any of Mr. Holden's gift for Elizabeth, but you didn't get any real punishment for it. Instead, while you were out with the boys, Elizabeth returned home to share the news. The three of them went to get dessert on their own. It was declared, even by your parents, when everyone got back, that the event was settled. That was a while ago now. Later that night, you found yourself seated near the kitchen counter. Your fingers drummed over the surface as you waited, your gaze trained on the phone. You were waiting for a call tonight, specifically from your cousin Leandra? Leandra. That's a name I've never heard before, but I guess it's a name. Leandra. You didn't want to miss it accidentally. Your uncle, aunt, and Lee used to live many hours away. Your family only saw each other a few times a year or for big occasions. For a while, though, they moved closer to you than before. Now they hung out regularly. With school being out, you're positive she's gonna want to come over a lot. The two of you are the same age and got along well. She used to be really fond of Elizabeth, too. But now that your sister became allergic to interacting with her own family, it tended to just be you and Lee who spent time together. She was your only friend who was a girl. Being family helped make you close. I'm gonna go with this, cause growing up, I didn't have very many friends who were girls. I mean, I did have some friends who were girls, but not too many. All my friends were guys, mostly because I was a bit of a tomboy. But I did hang out with some girls. I'm not gonna use their real names. I'm gonna say Maria, her sister, Claudine, and then Ashley. I could call her Ashley. Ashley. They all three lived in the neighborhood. We hung out, and then the one girl who was she'd come over sometimes. Her grandparents lived in the neighborhood, and she'd come visit sometimes, and we'd hang out. I don't even remember her real name, because she didn't hang out with us that often. Oh, and then also Selena. But yeah, and then all the rest of my friends were guys. Because when I'd hang out with the girls, we'd play princesses and Sailor Moon, and we'd dress up and we'd do all this stuff. But when I was hanging out with the guys, we'd go on bug safaris. Sometimes with Tippin and Fang, we played Littlest Pet Shops together, and it was fun. Just hanging out and doing stuff together. Anyways, but yeah, most of my friends were guys growing up, mostly because there was mostly guys in the neighborhood and schools and stuff where I grew up. Actually, in my school, I was the only girl there because I went to a special needs school from 2nd to 4th grade, and then I was the only girl there. And then 5th grade, half the year, I was in a class with one other girl, and then everybody else was guy. And then because I was also a special needs school, then I got put into another school, and that's when I started having more mix of friends. Anyways, you weren't that close with any other girls your own age. We had plenty of other friends. Yeah. They just all happened not to be girls. The shrill ringtone announced incoming call. You jumped before grabbing the receiver and pressing it to your ear. Dalmatian residence, Candy speaking. Hello? I'm just going with hello. Oh, now I gotta come up with another voice for her. Hi, Candy. It's Lee. I'm glad it's you. For a second there, I thought it might be one of Elizabeth's friends. There was static on the end, as if Lee was shifting wherever she was. So, can you believe school's actually over? I thought it'd never be done. Now we don't have to do any of that boring stuff, and we can get to hang out whenever we want. Speaking of hanging out, Lee, can you wait for a second? Let me just head to my room.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You got up from your seat at the counter. Luckily, the phone was wireless, so you didn't have to worry about any cords tying you down. Your mom's had a rule about not moving the phone unless a call was in progress, which was why you'd been sat by its cradle waiting for Lee to call. You weren't the only person here. If anyone could take the phone anywhere at any time, it'd be an even bigger hassle. You could easily imagine the receiver having a new forever home in Elizabeth's locked bedroom. But now Lee had called, and it was okay for you to go upstairs to your bedroom and talk to her. You jogged up the stairs, taking two at a time, smiling. After you had arrived, you shut the bedroom door firmly behind you. You took a seat on your bed. Alright, I'm here. Cool. Hey, did you know that the girl down the street from me has her own phone now? A cell phone. She doesn't have to wait for someone else to stop using it or anything. I got my first I remember I got my first cell phone in like 8th grade. Belle got hers the same year, but she's 3 years younger than me, so she was in 5th grade. I got mine in 8th grade. And the reason I did was because the school bus I was in got into an accident, and I didn't have a phone on me, so I couldn't call my mom. So she had to wait for like 3 hours for me to get home, because we had to wait for the cops. Everybody was fine. Nobody got hurt. But yeah, this crazy driver just decided to crash into the bus and then kept going, only stopping because the car stopped working. But yeah, so yeah, my mom was after an hour of me not being home, she decided to call the school like, "Hey, where's my daughter? It's been an hour. Oh, let us check." Gets put on hold for like a long time, and it's like, "Oh, that bus was in an accident. Goodbye." And she was so mad. And then 2 more hours went by, and then we finally got to leave, and I got to go home. That was a fun day. But after that, my mom decided to get me in my sister's cell phones, so in case something like that were to ever happen again. Mine was like a flip phone. Meanwhile, she got like a knockoff iPhone. Because I didn't really ask for a phone while she was asking for a phone. So I guess they just figured, whatever. She doesn't need it for anything other than calling us, so flip phone. Wow, really? The thought of someone having a phone that was their own seemed unbelievable to you. Right? I wish I had one too, but my parents said I couldn't get my own phone until I was more grown up. I wish they'd changed their mind. We could call each other every single day, and no one would be able to stop us. How great would that be? But wouldn't I, yeah. My moms would be able to stop us if they wanted. Lee laughed. You didn't put a damper on her imagination. Oh. Then you have your own phone too. That works. She sighed dramatically. I bet I'm not gonna get one until I'm all the way in college. Squeezing the phone between your shoulder and ear, you puffed up your pillows to make yourself more comfy. It was strange to think of a time when normal school would be over and you'd have to choose whether or not to go to college. I mean, I did college for a little bit, but I was just taking classes to take them. I wasn't really going for a major or anything. Like, I'm thinking, like, going back to school once we get the move and everything's settled. And, like, actually, like, doing some, like, classes, because I'm thinking about it. I'm not 100% sold on this idea yet. Because I've been taking care of Jelly Bean, and I've been doing stuff with like her friends and all that. I'm thinking about becoming a teacher, but like an art teacher, not like a teacher like Belle wants to be. She's gonna be a math teacher for like high school and middle school. I'm thinking like elementary art teacher, and I'm thinking about taking classes and stuff, but I'm still not 100% sold on that idea. I'm not really I'm 27, but I'm still not sure what I want to do with my life, honestly. I've got a nice paying job right now. Things are good right now, but I'm like thinking towards even more into the future. School was a big part of your life. School is such a big part of your life right now. Studying didn't come easy to you. Yeah, I guess that kind of fits. Coasting by had become a routine for you. Teachers warned you that you wouldn't be able to do that forever, but you figured it was enough for now. Felt a lot of pressure to get higher grades than you did last year. You hoped to do as well this year, but you were confident your grades would remain great. You had no plans on getting excellent scores this time around. I'm gonna keep with that. You could definitely turn things around from here on. Yeah. You tried to sound encouraged, but your mind had decided to go back to school despite the season. Lee knew you too well to be fooled.
What's up?
You sound spacey. What's up? Just thinking about school. Ugh. Are you thinking about how we don't have to think about it 'cause it's summer? That's what I'm doing. I'm gonna go with this one. No matter how much you wanted to enjoy your free time, the creeping dread of knowing that it could come to an end was always there beside you. I get what you mean. I guess, though, school isn't all that bad. All the way bad. You can do some things there. You just can't do more when school's... You can just do more when school's out. Learning stuff in school is doing pretty great. I guess learning stuff. I just wish everyone did okay with how they taught things, not just some people.
Me too.
Me too. That's pretty much everything that's good about school. Okay, point taken.
Alright.
Now I decree the topic of school is officially closed. We have to talk about this summer first before we start plotting the rest of our lives. I've got some plans already. Like, I'm gonna visit my cousins. You chuckled, of course. What's something you want to do? First thing that comes to your head. Ooh, I like that. I like that too. I'm gonna go with this. I can't wait to try them out. I can't wait to see what you make. You leaned back on your bed, settling as you continued chatting with your friend, even though it hadn't been that long since you saw her, and you'd be seeing her soon. You found plenty to talk about. For one, the events of the day. You sat up straighter. I was with Cove and Derek today, and met a new kid. Like at your neighborhood? Mm-hmm. His parents are visiting family, so it sounds like he'll be around for a little while. I don't know how long. What was he like? He was mean. He kept snapping when all we were trying to do was talk to him. He just kept being rude to everyone. But especially Cove. It was awful. I mean, I don't think I want to meet him. You want a boy to stay away before even meeting him? That's an unexpected twist. Your cousin was pretty popular with the boys who knew her. She seemed happy enough to have them around until they started to annoy her. Who are you talking to? Cove and Derek are always around. Who are you? Oh, who are you to talk? Derek and Cove are always around. They're boys. They're both boys, you know. We weren't able to say anything on that. That's true. Lee laughed at your affirmation, deeply amused. After a moment, you chuckled, along with her. There was a stomping noise approaching your room, heralding the arrival of your irritated older sister. She flung open the door, frown etched on her face.
Come on.
How long are you going to be hogging the phone? Glancing at your watch, you realized that your quick call had gone on much longer than anticipated. Elizabeth held out her hand. The other one lodged on her hip. She noticed the realization on your face. Time's up. Gotta go see. Okay.
Bye.
Okay, see you. Tell Elizabeth and your moms I said hi, too. You barely pressed the end call button when Elizabeth whisked the handset from your fingers and began dialing someone new as she strode out of the room. Your ma's voice called from downstairs. Hey, has anyone seen the phone? I'm using it. With that, she shut the door behind you. The silence was left in its wake. That was the way to end your first day of summer break. That was one way to end your first day of summer break. Sometime later, it had gotten dark outside. You laid in bed wide awake. Your window rattled all of a sudden, startling you badly. You flinched, staring over and with furrowed brows. From your vantage point, you saw only the moon glowing up in the sky. You were... I'm confused. What had caused that noise? You frowned and sat up, moved closer to the window. You might as well see the reason behind the disturbance. To your utter shock, your gaze met by an unfamiliar ocean blue eyes. Cove? You squinted. Yep, Cove was right outside your window. Your house was angular, and some parts stuck out further than others, so it theoretically wouldn't have been hard to climb around on. Still, because somebody could didn't mean you'd expect it to ever happen. Cove looked awkward and unstable. His feet were braced against the section of the wall that jutted out, his arms flexing with an effort to keep himself upright. With difficulty, he waved. He wobbled immediately, dropping his hands in alarm. You hurriedly opened the window. Cove scrambled inside, nearly falling flat on his face. But you were able to right himself in the end. But he was able to right himself in the end. You realized he had released a breath once he was steady.
Hey.
Hi, Candy. What are you doing? What's up, Romeo? This sure is a surprise, but you're always welcome here. Is everything okay? What happened? Like I didn't start screaming. Cove needed to talk to you, and it couldn't wait until tomorrow. Oh. I needed to talk to you, and I couldn't wait until tomorrow. Sorry. If I rang the doorbell, I knew your moms would have answered, and then they'd just make me go home. I didn't really want to explain why I was coming over anyway. I don't want to talk about it. Well, besides with you, I mean. That's why I did that. As unexpected as this was, you were touched. Cove felt he could tell you what was wrong. I might have tried calling or something, except my dad was on the phone. Phil suddenly looked very cross. Dad, he was talking to my mom. Still is, probably. You raised your eyebrows. Cove had eavesdropped on his parents' phone conversation. You didn't comment on his eavesdropping. There were other things to talk about. Are you going to stay with your mom for a while again? Every year, Cove was sent off to live with his mom for a few weeks. It happened varied. Sometimes it would be during the winter, he would go during winter break, but usually he went during summer. Even though it was hard news, you found out he was leaving, and you missed seeing him those weeks. You understood. You were surprised, however. He shook his head. That's what I thought too, but no. That's not what they were saying. My dad asked my mom not to have me leave this year. He said she could come stay with us, here with us. You waited for him to continue. He didn't. The conversation abruptly dropped. You couldn't help but stare at Cove. There was a complicated mix of of expressions on his face. Is she gonna do that? Yeah. She told him she'd come. I know that she's coming before school starts. Oh. You had heard Cove talk about his mom a lot over the years. He'd tell you about past memories or what happened while he was visiting her. Still, it was one thing to hear about someone, another thing to actually meet them. Very soon they were going to see Cove. You were going to see Cove's mom in person. You were taken aback by the news. You could only imagine how Cove felt. You looked over at him. He was pacing across your room, his features pained with dread. Before they barely stay in the same room long enough to have lunch. Now we're gonna be all together again, the three of us. After all this time, just for a few weeks. I know I should probably be happy they can talk to each other now. I'm still not. I'm just confused and freaked out. And now I feel really bad for feeling this way. Candy, it's so... His fist tightened, his eyes became misty. I shouldn't keep getting like this. It's been a long time. I'm already. I'm not a little kid. Though he wouldn't meet your eyes, you knew he was waiting for you to say something. Cove sniffled. You were afraid he might really start crying, but he didn't. Instead, he smiled. See, now I feel kind of better. Visiting like this wasn't a bad idea. Momentarily, silence fell over you two. You marveled at how the day started. You had woken up eager for summer, but now things seemed so crazy. The mini debacle with Mr. Holden's gift, the newest addition to the neighborhood, being so rude. And as if that wasn't enough, now Cove's mom would be living with Cove and his dad again. Your whole life was kind of like that, it seemed. Complicated and hard and different. Why couldn't things get better with time? Candy? The sound of your name said quietly pulled you from your thoughts. Cove gazed at you concerned.
Are you okay?
Are you okay? You knew some things were still good. Cove grinned reassuringly. It was small and delicate, but you knew it was genuine. He had come here conflicted and upset, only to end up worrying about you. He really was a great friend. You know, I think I don't want to talk about any more about this. He looked away, his lips thinning into a line, and rubbed it at his arms. But I kind of don't want to go back home either. Could I stay a little longer, just doing something else? He appeared equal parts hopeful and vulnerable. How could he possibly turn him away? It's between... I'm gonna go with that. You waggled your eyebrows, already excited by the prospect. Cove perked up at your response, a smile appearing on his face. He immediately took a seat on your bed, not afraid to get comfortable in your room. You felt a little better at the sight somehow. You knew you still had a lot of worries, but you were glad that he was there, he was here. Not just tonight. You were glad to have him in your life in the first place. That was a change you'd never want to undo. Who would have thought Cove would mean so much to you? You certainly hadn't in the beginning. You kept your distance, so had he. Now you considered him to be one of your closest friends. You joined Cove on your bed, taking a seat in front of him. He smiled at you again, but you could tell this time was half-hearted. He was still easy to read. Though he didn't want to talk about his mom and dad, he must be thinking about what happened and what's about to happen. I'm gonna give him a hug. You moved closer and wrapped your arms around him. It wasn't much, but you hoped the contact helped even a little. Cove froze up, startled. After a moment, his arms came up, returned your hug. The two of you remained like that for some time. He might have mumbled something to you, but it was too quiet to tell what it was. When you pulled back, his expression had softened into something more natural. Conversation was stilted and broken, often by silence at first. Then both of you were able to get your usual candor as your secret hangout session stretched on. You thought you truly wanted to keep having moments like this with him. You hoped the day would never come when life decided the two of you would part ways. You knew Cove felt the same. You opened your eyes, tired, groaning as they adjusted to the bright light that was streaming through the window and warming your peachy skin. With a loud yawn, you rolled away from the sunlight, blinked a couple times, clearing the sleep from your eyes before realizing with a start that it was actually morning. You couldn't remember even falling asleep. Cove had crept through your window during the night, and the two of you spent time together trying not to wake your parents. You must have fallen asleep while you were hanging out, but couldn't put a finger on exactly when. You wondered how late Cove had stayed before heading home. You rubbed your face and yawned again, contemplating whether you should get out of bed and get ready for the day, or stay up snuggled in a while longer, until your gaze landed on an instantly recognizable mop of green hair. You bolted upright and gasped in sunrise. He never left. Oh boy, he was still there in the morning. He had fallen asleep while still sitting on the ground, precariously leaning his head on the side of your mattress. With your shout, Cove's eyes snapped open. His head slipped from its source. He didn't stop going until he smacked his head. Oh, jeez, that's gotta hurt. You clamped your hand over your mouth and looked down at him with wide eyes, curled up where he landed rather ungracefully. Ow. Cove gave an appreciative look. You bit your lip and stifled your own chuckling. If either of your moms found out Cove had slept here last night, the two of you would be in big trouble. Cove blinked a couple times, his eyes growing in panic as some thought that only he could hear settled in his mind. Oh gosh, I fell asleep. We weren't exactly sure what to do as you watched Cove pace your room, looking around frantically. Cove stopped mid-step. You wanted to ask what he had been searching for, but you guessed he wouldn't know the answer to that himself. Despite that, he hadn't calmed down completely. The atmosphere was still frazzled. You just need to leave before anyone notices you're here. If they knew, we would have heard about it already. Cove nodded, his shoulders tensed as he fixed you with a firm stare with his turquoise eyes. Letting out a heavy sigh, he ran her hand through his hair in exasperation. He couldn't look at you again as he spoke. I'll see you later. You were confused on how all this played out, but hoped that was true. Yeah, see you later, Cove. At that, you were suddenly wrapped of an intense embrace. As panicked he was, this seemed to be something he could forget to do before leaving. Thanks again. Your good friend, Cove. Oh, your good friend, Candy. He firmly whispered the words into the top of your shoulder, but you were let go before you had a chance to respond, or even fully react. In a matter of seconds, he climbed over your bed, and opened the window. A cool breeze rolled in off the ocean, fluttering through Cove's hair and filling the room with its salty scent. Cove anxiously stepped out onto the ledge. I'm gonna wish him luck. Good luck, don't fall off my roof. You weren't sure if he heard you or not, but he kept going along, one foot in front of the other, with increasing speed, until his form disappeared out of sight. You stuck your head out your window as far as you could go, trying to keep watch. He walked at the full length of the ledge before jumping down on top of the garage, then lowering himself onto the fence, from there finally dropping onto the ground. You threw out a thumbs up at his successful climb. He ran off towards his house without stopping, disappearing behind the side of another building. You admit that you were pretty impressed on how doable he made it look. With a sigh, you reclosed your window, deciding there was nothing to do more that you could do. You hopped off your bed and ready to head downstairs for the day. Put on your slippers. I'm gonna make my bed. That's what I usually... Well, it's not made right now, but that's what I usually do. One of the first things. It was a habit of yours. You straightened up your sheets, smoothed over the comforter, and fluffed up your pillows before stepping out and admiring your work. You took the stairs, slowly attempting to mask your face into a look of innocence. You were sure that someone would have come to your room if they had. You were sure that someone would have come into your room if they had heard anything strange, but you couldn't be too careful. You had to play it cool. You stepped in the living room. Elizabeth was there, tapping her finger on the counter. Good morning, Elizabeth. She looked over at you immediately, squinting her eyes at the greeting. Why are you being so weird? You hadn't done anything. Your big sister never missed a beat, unfortunately. Your eyes flickered left to right as you sidestepped her and headed towards the kitchen. Candy. Wouldn't you like to know? Sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna shrug it off. I'm not. You spoke nonchalantly. You almost thought she believed you. But you knew better. Further serious squinting occurred as she waited for something. But ultimately she rolled her eyes, and you weren't sure if you were in trouble or not. She didn't seem to care enough to dig any further. Whatever. And then she walked straight out the front door, letting the slam shut behind her, and you let out a brief sigh. Elizabeth went out most days to hang out with her friends from school around town. Today you were extra glad for it, though you were also grateful she hadn't left the house any sooner and risked running into Cove. You looked like you were getting away with that. Breakfast was eaten in peace alone. Your moms were both out by the time you'd gotten up. They had left you a serving of food from the breakfast they had made. Hash browns, omelet, fruit salad, yummy, yummy, and there was a few sausage links. I'm gonna go with everything because breakfast is the most important meal of the day. We're serving it up Gary's way. Yep. It was tasty. You appreciated that there was a variety in your meal, in the meals your moms made. The day lazily drifted by at home, and eventually your parents returned. You pulled open the fridge again, lingering in the frosty air for a moment or two before grabbing a bottle of ice cold water. And why would you get cold water? I don't like cold water. No, I prefer it like when it's like not freezing cold, but like kind of cold. Otherwise, I go for like occasionally I'll go for like room temperature, but like ice cold, no, that hurts my teeth. And taking a long drink. It was perfect. Balmy summer. It was a perfect balmy summer afternoon. You had decided to head outdoors to find something to do. You hadn't decided what that something was just yet, but you were sure something would pop up to accompany your time. As you were heading out the front door, you paused for a moment. You hadn't seen Cove since he left this morning. You couldn't help but think about what had happened to him. Would it be bad to go over to his house right now and call him to check in? You stepped out of your house, still stuck in an internal debate with yourself, when a voice caught your attention. Hi, Candy. Confused, you looked over when you saw an unrecognizable woman was waving at you. A friendly smile plastered on her face. You racked your memory for where you might have seen her before, but nothing came to mind. Not at school, not at the country club. Your mom took you to? Go to a fancy? The only time I've ever been to a country club is when I went with my dad at his work, because he was doing catering, and he took me with... you had absolutely no idea who this woman was. The woman crossed the road towards you. You were a little unsure whether you should stay put or go back into your house and lock the door. Oops, I'm sorry. That was presumptuous. I've heard about you, but have no idea. You have no idea who I am, do you? You shook your head and as she removed her sunglasses to reveal sparkly ocean blue eyes. All of a sudden, she seemed a little more familiar. My son lives here. Max too. Your smile bent. With a bent smile, she lifted a hand and pointed to the condo across the street from your own. She was Cove's mom. You didn't know why you hadn't realized sooner, now that you'd gotten a better look at her. She seemed nice. Seemed sort of strange. She does kind of look really young. It's almost hard to believe that she had a 13-year-old kid. No matter your thoughts on her, you still felt taken aback. Ooh. This episode's running kind of long. I was gonna wait till I get to the end of this part. I wanted to do originally this whole video as one big part, but I didn't realize the last episode was over 2 hours. So this is gonna be the last part of this for Valentine's Day. I will upload the rest of this. I'm gonna keep playing this, and I'm gonna upload the rest during this week, because I'm not gonna make you guys wait till next Valentine's Day to see how this ends. So you're gonna get 2 uploads today, the first part and this part. And then tomorrow you're gonna get another upload, and then however many uploads it takes for me to finish this game, we'll see. But for now, I'm gonna finish this sentence, and then I'm gonna end the episode here. No matter your thoughts on her, you still felt taken aback that she had appeared so suddenly. Cove mentioned that she was coming, but you hadn't gotten the impression it would be the very next day. Alright, well that's that. Bye.